What is good, you guys? We're back with another installment of A Day on the Hardwood. And man, we know who's going to be playing in the NBA Finals. And this is a great moment because we've gone through an entire season, basically, especially entire playoffs, of people back in arenas, you know what I'm saying? COVID, although still a factor in things, not as big of a factor in sports, is becoming more open and things like that again. And to have a finals, to get to this point without too many stoppages, without too many bumps in the road, especially in the playoffs besides Chris Paul's COVID case, it's just really, really great to see. And although this playoffs has been filled with injuries, I think after being locked up for like 9-10 months, basically, for real, and not having any playoffs, being in a dark space with no playoffs, no basketball, no football, no none of this, and then people sit on Twitter and complain about injuries and how this doesn't matter and how they're not enjoying the playoffs because of this. Like, bro, be thankful, bro. We just did not have basketball, and now we're about to be in the NBA Finals, bro, with two really, really good teams, especially when Giannis is playing for the Bucks. So shout out to the Bucks, shout out to Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday for pulling through without Giannis today, 27 and 32 respectively. Jrue Holiday had a big second half together, and Chris Middleton had an insane third quarter. And Chris Middleton can go through these stages where he goes from a G League player to a regular player, to an MVP, to a first-team All-NBA type of guy, back to just one of the dudes on the team. It's kind of weird. And a guy with his personality doesn't seem like a guy that'd be so inconsistent like he is. But you don't know what Chris Middleton you're gonna get. I got a friend. I've talked about him on the videos before, and he's just not a big Chris Middleton fan because what he says is Chris Middleton is a good player, but he gets paid too much to be this inconsistent. And I'd be like, no Chris Middleton slander today. He had 40 points and barely missed, but then sometimes he goes 0 for 16 in 2 away games from 3, so you don't know what you're getting. But today, you got the Chris Middleton that everybody be paying for, everybody knows can go off. So shout out to him. Shout out to Jrue Holiday for, after having a bad series, playoff fights against the Nets, he came back with a really, really good series. Against the Hawks, especially in these last couple games without Giannis. So shout out to him. Brook Lopez didn't have as great of a game, but still a good game. Bobby Portis being active and things like that. Same with PJ Tucker. One of the biggest reasons why they won, besides Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton going crazy, is how good they're good on the offensive rebounds. And Jrue Holiday, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, Pat Connaughton, and I'm missing one. And I think I didn't say PJ Tucker. They're all a part of why they were so great on the offensive rebounds. So shout out to them for doing that. And they are in the NBA Finals, and Jeff T got a little Atlanta Hawks revenge game as well. But let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks, because as a Mavs fan, I'm so jealous of the Atlanta Hawks. I'm so jealous of Travis Schlenk. I'm so jealous that they have a great coach like Nate McMillan. They got Trae Young as the engine. John Collins, Cam Reddish, Kevin Huerter, Bogdan, Onyeka, Clint, Gallo, Lou. Like, it's such a deep team. DeAndre Hunter, when he's healthy, he was the second best player in that Knicks series. He was the second most important player in that Knicks series in the first round. And they lost them. And they were still one of the most deep teams in the playoffs. That's how much young talent Travis Schlenk has got these past few years. So shout out to him. Shout out to Nick McMillan for coming in the middle of the season when they look like they're about to have a disappointing season after all the expectations they had from the free agency signings. Nick McMillan comes in and they go on a freaking run and they get to this point. And I'm so jealous of the talent they have accumulated over the years, how they mesh so well, how Trae Young doesn't have to score 30, 10, and 9 every night. It makes me, like, they had a chance to win this game, and he had 11 points. He had 9 points going to the fourth quarter. I know I try not to correlate everything to this right there, but if Luka had 9 points going into the fourth quarter, we'd be losing by 20 and 40, and we would have a chance. And if we were losing by 20, there's no way we even have the mental fortitude to get back in the game, because that's definitely not happening. We definitely don't have a Cam Reddish that comes out of nowhere after being injured and goes on the best defender like, so Chris Middleton had 23 points in that third quarter, but I think like 15 of them before Cam Reddish got subbed in was on Kevin Huerter, and Kevin Huerter was having a bad offensive game and defensive game, and they put Cam Reddish in, and he slows him down at the end of the third quarter and into the fourth quarter. So he's the best defender on the floor, and then he's hitting every three like he's freaking Klay Thompson, getting to the rim, kind of drawing some contact, but for real was doing his damage on the offensive end from the 3-point line. So shout out to Cam Reddish, man. I've been a big Cam Reddish fan. I was literally talking to Mojo on my pod that I had about 2-3 weeks ago, and he was like, I don't want Cam Reddish to come back. I don't want him to come back too early and hurt himself because he's very, very important to the team. And he was right about the very, very important part, but he seemed like it was perfectly fine. He was one of the biggest reasons why they even got back into that game, because it was like a 22-point lead, and it looked like they weren't going to even have a chance to get back into it, but they did because Cam Reddish. John Collins was also very underrated in that with his mid-ranges. His mid-range game was on in that second half, bro. It really, really was. And he was getting to the bucket as well. Onyeka wasn't great today. Lou wasn't great today, I don't think. And Kevin Huerter did not play well whatsoever, and that's why Cam Reddish even got as big of an opportunity in the first place. So, like I said, man, shout out to the Hawks, shout out to Travis Sling, shout out to Nate McMillan, shout out to Trae Young for demanding the Hawks to be more aggressive last offseason, and because of that, they got to the Eastern Conference Finals. But now they got expectations. Now, do they drop? Do they stay where they are? Do they get better? It's going to be hard to get better than the Eastern Conference Finals. There's not much more you can do than that. So we'll see. They most likely will drop. More expectations comes more responsibility, comes more drama, all that type of stuff. This was a nice surprise for the Hawks to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I hope they do, because I am a very big fan, and most Mavs fans don't like Trae Young and the comparison, all that, and I'm not one of those guys. Shout out to Trae Young, man. He's a big piece to the Hawks and a big piece for the NBA. And if you don't like Trae Young, I don't feel like you're a fan of the NBA, in my opinion, because he's that electric when he is healthy. But let's talk about the preview of the finals a little bit. Let's talk about it a little bit, because I'm a big fan of these two teams, and they'll most likely both be healthy if Giannis comes back, so there's no asterisks in the finals, at least. There's an asterisk all the way I'm not going to say an asterisk because I'm not the type of guy, but there's a lot of big holes and a lot of reasons why these two teams had a chance to get here, and I'm not gonna hate. I'm not gonna spend my time hating. I'm just saying. But in this finals, hopefully he can be healthy for the most part when Giannis comes back. You got Giannis. I think you put DeAndre Ayton on Giannis, and I guess you. Oh no, you put Jay Carter on Giannis. You put DeAndre Ayton on Brooke, Chris Paul on Drew Holiday, and Mikal Bridges on Chris Middleton, and Devin Booker on PJ Tucker. I guess that would be the matchups. And for the other side of the ball, I say put PJ Tucker on Chris Paul, put Drew Holiday on Devin Booker, put Chris Middleton on Mikal Bridges, put Giannis on Jay Carter when he comes back, and put Brook Lopez on DeAndre Ayton. I think those should be the matchups for each team. It's a very guard-heavy matchup. You got Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday versus Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Two decent duos. I think the Suns have a better one, but depending on the night, depending on if Chris Middleton wants to be Kevin Durant or Prime Kobe that night, that duo's isn't worse than anybody, you know. Like, if Chris Middleton is acting like the way he was acting in one of them games, I think it was Game 4, Game 5, and the way he was acting in the third quarter for a full game, nobody can stop that man when he's in his bag, but he's just not in his bag sometimes, and that's when it gets iffy. Drew Holiday's defense, I think, is going to bother Devin Booker a lot, and PJ Tucker bodying Chris Paul up a little bit. Chris Paul not being as fast as he used to be, which gives me the confidence that you can stick PJ Tucker on him for at least a little bit. Maybe you have to put Chris Middleton on him, maybe be able to slow him down. But Chris Paul's a smart guy. He'll probably figure something out. DeAndre Ayton, hopefully he can have a big series and dominate that paint, because when Brook Lopez is in and Giannis is in, Brook Lopez isn't as aggressive in the paint. So hopefully he can definitely win that matchup, because he's had to go up against Zubac, which is in the paint a lot. He had to go against Jokic, and Kristaps is nothing. So we're not even gonna talk about that. No, Kristaps he didn't play DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre played Andre Drummond. I was thinking about freaking Zubac. DeAndre Ayton played Andre Drummond in the first round and did him in. So he's won basically every matchup coming up to this. Brook Lopez is another decent. He's a decent matchup. He's a decent challenge for DeAndre Ayton, because he's a big body. He knows how to play some decent post defense, and he's a good rim protector. So we'll see how he does, especially in this pick and roll. The Bucks aren't great guarding the pick and roll, so they have to get better at that because Chris Paul's going to go to that mid-range jumper every single time and kill him if Brook Lopez doesn't step up and drop coverage. So hopefully Brook Lopez, forget what Mike Budenholzer was saying. Step up, bro. You know Chris Paul's the best mid-range shooter in the league, or one of the best mid-range shooters in the league. You know Devin Booker wants to get to the elbow. Just do it yourself. You know how to play basketball. You know what's going on, so do it yourself. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully this Suns-Bucks series is great. Shout out to the Atlanta Hawks. And sub to the channel, man. I'm at 410 subscribers. Hopefully I can get to 500 soon, you know what I'm saying? Posting daily, so go ahead and sub to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time.